Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andy, and welcome to today's Team Kentucky update. We're going to start with a weather update as we have severe cold coming into the Commonwealth beginning in the west at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. After that, we're going to give a year-end economic development recap. It's been a good year. Then we've got a housing rental award for the city of Louisville, and we have both Mayor Fisher and Mayor-elect Greenberg here with us today. We're going to recap recent steps in Eastern Kentucky about long-term rebuilding, give a flood recovery update, talk about flu, RSV, COVID, and then talk a little bit about how you as a citizen can help us and help the FTC in identifying areas that do not have adequate broadband or internet coverage. But let's start by giving another update on where we are with this Arctic front that is approaching. First, a recap of steps that we've taken. Yesterday, I declared a state of emergency to help make sure all of our state resources are ready before the Arctic front hits. The Kentucky Emergency Operations Center and the Kentucky State Police and the Kentucky National Guard are now ready. The Guard is now pre-positioned to assist in rescues, and we've deployed vehicles and other assets around the Commonwealth as needed. Yesterday, we also implemented the state's price gouging law so that Kentuckians can report price gouging to the Office of the Attorney General. We requested that every county designate at least one warming center, and we are asking those officials and local media to ensure you are publicizing and getting the word out about where those local warming centers are. Make it your goal for everybody in your city or your county to have heard at least once where they can and should go if they lose power or don't have enough heat. We've also opened our Kentucky State Parks to be prepared to offer emergency shelter as a backup to local locations or as a primary for our travel trailer groups. All right, a couple of key messages. The Arctic front will move east across from west to east across the state this afternoon and into the evening. It's hitting western Kentucky at 1 p.m. Central Time. So if you are in the far western part of the state, I strongly recommend that if you are not an essential employee that needs to be there, that you, if your employer also takes a look at this, that you get home by 1 p.m. Central Time. A wind chill warning and winter weather advisory are out for minor snow accumulations, but primarily dangerous wind chills that are in effect tonight through Friday. The wind chills starting tonight and through Friday afternoon are going to be very dangerous. And while the worst part moves out Friday afternoon, Saturday morning is still supposed to be negative 17 degrees. So nobody get lulled into a sense of complacency or security. It's going to be really, really cold. It's not going to get above freezing until probably Tuesday. And I think the wind chills are negative until either Sunday or Monday, depending on how that warm-up works. Plan on slippery road conditions, especially tonight and moving into tomorrow. If you can stay off the roads, please do. Like we discussed yesterday, and I think Secretary Gray will mention again today, if it gets that cold, if we have some of the snow and how it can move across the roads with the wind gusts, you can have very little visibility, and we can get to a point where the salt, even with all the extra stuff we do to it, won't work to prevent ice if we have certain conditions out there. So everybody expect the roads to be treacherous tonight through tomorrow, probably through most of Friday at least. We will be giving updates on social media and other means about the conditions of the roads, but treacherous is what you ought to be prepared for. If you can avoid travel, please do. Admittedly, my family canceled plans with my parents tonight because we need to be safe and we need to make sure we're all doing the right and the safe things. Rain will change over to snow from west to east tonight, and it's going to be a really quick transition. Oh, if we stop, yeah. So this is giving you an idea also, not just of the rain to snow transition, but also when the severe drop in temperatures is going to start. So you see 2 p.m. Eastern in the west, and then it's hitting at the very least by 11 p.m. tonight in the far east, but we should all be home and safe long before that. But rain, which we have right now in Frankfurt, will change to snow. But the rapid drop in temperature is going to change it to ice on the roads and other surfaces. And it may happen so quickly with water already out there that, as the secretary said yesterday, makes pre-treatment not possible in certain areas for roads and can lead to flash freezing. Total snowfall is currently 1 to 3 inches across the state, with higher amounts possible in local areas. But let me say from my perspective, I'm not as much worried about 1 to 3 inches of snow as I am with the wind gusts and what that does to the snow across our roadways. And I'm worried about that and just how dangerous -20 to -30 degrees with wind chill truly is. So this slide shows the current projections across the state with more snow expected in the western region. As you look at these, if you watched the slides yesterday, you'd see those confidence measures that are in the far right, at least as I'm looking at it. Those were low and medium yesterday. They're medium and high today. What that means is the National Weather Service has a high degree of confidence that there are going to be major travel impacts and a medium confidence that this will be the amount of snow. What that means is it could be more or it could be less, but they feel pretty good about this. Let's talk about the dangerous cold and strong winds. Wind gusts from 40 to 45 miles an hour. Temperatures will drop into the teens by late this afternoon in the west across central Kentucky, but wind chill will drop below zero during that time frame, and the wind chill will be down between -25 to -30 late tonight and into Friday in most parts of the state. You can get frostbite pretty quickly at -25 to -30, they say, in as little time as 30 minutes. But as Colonel Slinker's going to tell us, make sure you're covered up, head to foot, if and when you go outside. If there is positive news, we thought that we would potentially be in the -20s into Saturday. Now it looks like it's going to be more in the -15 to -17, or in some areas, -10 to -17. Now that is really cold and it's dangerous, but it's not as dangerous as what tonight through Friday will be. And then when you get into Sunday morning, we're still in the negatives with wind chill, but it's going about 8 to 10 degrees better each day. You ought to really make plans to stay safe throughout this entire period. Look, the National Weather Service has high confidence that it is going to be this cold throughout the weekend. Kentucky Emergency Management is working with partners across the region to ensure everyone has a place to go if they need it. If you want to know where your warming center is, contact your county emergency management or check their social media page. Monitor social media pages of your local first responders and organizations that can provide you assistance if it's needed. Remember, as a backup option, your closest state park is there for you, just like it's been there after tornadoes or floods. We want to be there for those that need us. For our families in Eastern Kentucky currently in travel trailers, we've got Jenny Wiley and Buckhorn ready for them and a very extensive plan to check on them. We spent the last 36 plus hours doing everything we can to further weatherize those travel trailers and to make sure they have enough propane. We are taking this very seriously. Regular checks on the individuals, means in place if we have to evacuate everybody. I think I said this yesterday. We've been through a heck of a lot these last 3 years. We have lost 17,400 plus people in a pandemic. Now 44, you'll hear about this in a minute, from flooding, and 81 from tornadoes. I don't want to lose one person due to this cold. But folks, if we don't take it seriously, we will lose loved ones. Final thing before I turn over to Colonel Slinker, make your list of who to check on. Call the people you love. Call them every so often and make sure they're okay, especially the seniors in our families or in our congregations or in our neighborhoods. Make sure you're checking on them and anyone that's housing insecure. Also, make sure that you take note of the tips that Colonel Slinker is going to give you for your pets. We want to make sure that each of them get through as well. Colonel?
All right. Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to come out and speak with you and talk about preparedness and how we're going to get through the next few days with, as the Governor said, without a tragedy. So again, being prepared starts with being aware of what's coming, so we know that we've got well in advance a good storm prediction from the National Weather Service. So it gives us the opportunity to prepare. Sometimes we don't get that opportunity, but in this case we do. So let's seize it. And so I implore you, look at where you're at, look at these timings, look at the effects. Again, they're predictions. They're never, 100%, but our confidence is increasing. So again, take a look at those. We encourage you to follow all your local and state and national emergency management agencies on social media if you're able to keep tracking their tips and their weather warnings as well. That's also, as the slide said, would be where you could find some of your warming centers that are located. Reach out to those local emergency management offices if you're not aware of where they are. If you're not, keep up with your local news forecast, and that could be even by radio. But keep up with whatever keeps you connected with your current conditions are. And as always, as we'll be doing here, we'll be posting tips regularly throughout the time period that we'll be involved in this to help you be aware of the current situation. I'll go back to, again, one of the first topics we're going to talk about is the heater and carbon monoxide and generator safety. I know we talked about that yesterday. I'm going to emphasize it again today. That is one of our most dangerous things that can occur when you get into one of these severe weather events, particularly when the temperatures are cold or there's a possibility of losing power. You lose power, people have generators, they start using it. The place where we go wrong is we use them indoors. So 10 to 15 feet away from the house, ensure it has good ventilation and that the exhaust is not going to get inside of what you're residing in. So again, keep your generators outdoors. And I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm doing that for a reason. I want everyone to hear it. Portable or space heaters. Evaluate the safety precautions that come with those. Some of them have flames, some of them have fire, some of them have fuel. See what that is and know how you can be safe using those. Put those in areas that they're designed for and not in areas that they're not designed for. And also incorporate smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors into your safety plan as well. Those things can change your lives when one of these other things go wrong accidentally. If you start feeling bad, remember, call 911. Carbon monoxide can sneak up on you and it can come quick because it's colorless and odorless. So if you start feeling bad, nauseous, lightheaded, get away from it if you're capable and call 911 and help will get to you right away. Take this opportunity as well to prepare your home. Wherever you're residing, you may have a water hose hooked up outside. You may have pipes that are exposed that needs to be insulated better, doors that need to be shut, crawl space vents that need to be closed, because if it's capable of freezing, it's going to freeze this time. This is weather that we've not seen in some time. So again, it may have not froze another year, but it will soon. State and our coordination between our state and local partners has been phenomenal. I will say that when we started preparing, we started calling on our local emergency management offices to start putting plans in place. And if I can take a minute just just to say some kind words and brag on them for uh, responding just as quick and as proactively as we are. They have provided us the information we need, and we really appreciate their cooperation. And then at the national level, working with the National Weather Service and National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, those are the folks that are keeping us ahead of this. If it wasn't for them, we'd be responding versus being proactive. So we appreciate them. And then our state response has been phenomenal as well. The Kentucky State Police, Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Kentucky Fish and Wildlife, and the Kentucky National Guard, along with Kentucky Emergency Management, have came together and put very precise plans in place to be prepared and ready to address the travel impacts that we have high confidence in. Like as the governor said, pre-positioned vehicles and people to the right locations and ready to respond as it's required. Because as we know, a storm like we've not had in a long time may bring results that we've not seen in a long time. So we're just being ready for all of them as well. And then I'll also mention on the travel trailers. Those are people that the state is in care of right now. You know, they had some catastrophic event hit where they lived, and we've tried to respond and give them a safe and nice, warm or cool place to stay until we can, till they can get back on their feet. So it's important that we take care of them in tough times too. And we did put in place a very aggressive plan to make sure they are being watched out appropriately, and that is periodic welfare checks on each and every occupant in a travel trailer. Communication, can't over communicate in any of these emergency situations. So, communication, we're doing that by phone, in person, and repetitive messages being sent out through some of the systems we have about what's coming, what to be aware of, and opening the doors and providing numbers if they need help. How do they get a hold of the maintenance contractor? How do they get a hold of the emergency management field team? So we're making sure they have all those contacts as well. We've prepared a transportation and evacuation plan for each one of the sites as well. And that can be complex, but we know we have the state parks that are ready. We have the warming centers that are on the list that everyone's focused on. I've been in contact with the state police commissioner, Commissioner Burnett, Colonel Eric Gibson with Fish and Wildlife, and as well, just recently, the hazard post commander with the state police reached out as they were developing their operation plan. And pre-deploying four-wheel drive vehicles. And as we know, Fish and Wildlife operate in four-wheel drive vehicles. We're ensuring that we have those in the areas. If we have to enact that plan of transportation or evacuation, we have it. And I also mentioned in that area, we asked our local emergency management directors to reach out to the local first responders. And again, they have responded phenomenally with good plans to do that as well. So together, working with each other, I'm confident that if it gets to that point, that we'll be ready to take action and save lives. We've found different things to put in the travel trailers. Again, the unknown is we've typically not resided in RVs or travel trailer units, as we call them, in these extreme temperatures. So we're watching how do they fare. We have insured and double checked and triple checked all the winterization methods that we used by the contractors, the insulating pipes, and as recently found antifreeze that was made for RVs to put in their systems to maybe prevent their wastewater systems from freezing up. So we're not leaving any stone unturned. We're thinking of everything and then responding with a plan on it as well. And most importantly, we have filled or replaced our propane tanks, and that'll be continuously done throughout this event to ensure that if the travel trailer is doing well, that the problem's not going to be the lack of propane. And again, that is a combination of multiple partners within that. One primary being the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet that I would mention. Obviously, they have a lot to do in a storm like this, but also doing these other things that benefit us greatly is greatly appreciated. That said, dress for inclement weather. If you're going to go out, this evening on through Monday to Tuesday, know that the temperatures will be at a degree that frostbite is a potential. And is sometimes some of these temperatures, it'll be as short as 30 minutes you could get it. So, your children, be sure that everyone's dressed, cover as much of your skin as you can. Try to limit your exposure with gloves and scarves and hats and all those things, and just try not to be out if you can avoid that. That's the best way. Just try not to be out. But in those brief times, make sure you cover up. Of course, during the times that snowing and raining, water resistant clothing is nice as well. And you can always dress in layers. So if you find yourself in a place where it's getting warm, you'll be able to take some of those off until it's time to go outside again. And as the governor mentioned, we're going to mention again pet safety. Take care of your pets. Bring them inside if you can. If you're able to bundle them up, bundle them up. Clean off your paws. I was glad to see that tip as well, because when they go outside and come in, that's what's in contact with the surface. So those are some suggestions to take care of them. But we just don't want to leave those out, as many of our pets are our loved ones. And so we wanted to mention those as well. And I'll close by just saying a thank you and a public thank you to all the first responders and agencies and cabinets that are preparing for this, but one specifically for me. Those folks at the Emergency Operations Center have changed Christmas plans, changed holiday travel, and different things to make sure the citizens of this state are safe. And I'm appreciative of that. And we'll have a lot of our other partners coming in today at 2 p.m. when the State Emergency Operations Center is activated and staffed with our key partners that will be responding to this event. And that's it. That's all I have. Secretary Gray for Transportation. Make sure I don't. I'm gonna make sure I don't take anybody's notes. Nope, I got them right there. Thanks.
Governor's is up here. Well, thanks, Director Slinker, and thanks, Governor. Before I get to the transportation, today's activities and plans, let me put in context a little bit of what has already been said the last couple of days, what actions have been taken by the governor, by Governor Beshear, and by the administration. These are proactive steps and initiatives that have been taken, and they include the declaring yesterday by the governor of a state of emergency, which allowed activating the National Guard. The governor's also been coordinating with our mayors and county judges across the state about setting up emergency warming centers and other initiatives that can be taken. The Kentucky State Parks are being made available as backup emergency shelters. And we're paying particular attention to those that are already in temporary shelters in both Western Kentucky and Eastern Kentucky. And the governor has also signed an order prohibiting price gouging during this emergency, this state of emergency. So let me now take us to where we are at the Transportation Cabinet and its initiatives today. In all 12 highway districts, the Department of Highways has 12 districts across the state, and that includes all 120 counties. And in all of these highway districts, we are closely monitoring the weather as forecasts become more clear. We have up to 2,000 employees that are available and 1,365 pieces of equipment, actually snow plows in addition to other equipment. Crews will be deployed. Our crews will be deployed in stages as conditions require. We must prepare and be prepared for the long haul, and that's why managing our resources is such an important responsibility. Those in Western Kentucky will start to deploy this afternoon. Planning has been in stage for some time now. The activity will pick up, of course, moving west to east and corresponding to the track of the storm. Our highway crews will do the best they can to keep roads passable. We can only do so much. Now, I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but a lot with this deployment of resources, a lot is being planned to be done. All right, now at the height of the storm, the bitter cold will create conditions that severely limit the effectiveness of what we can do with our usual materials of salt and calcium chloride. Let me explain that a little bit more. Salt is only effective at temperatures that are around or above 20 degrees. So what we do is we routinely add calcium chloride to the salt to maximize its effectiveness. But at extremely low temperatures, even the calcium chloride takes longer to work on melting the roadway ice. Materials like this also work best during the day when the sun is out. So some of the storm, of course, the storm coming through later in the evening will compromise the effectiveness of the salt and the calcium chloride. Snow can be plowed, but ice cannot be plowed. Of course, public safety and our employee safety are our top priorities, and we'll be doing all we can in both respects as it relates to the public safety and our employee safety. But we are up against some very tough conditions that bring with them some limitations. I want to give a special commendation, just like Director Slinker did to his people. I want to give a special praise to the employees of the cabinet of the highway department. These are skilled and talented and committed employees. They are extremely loyal to their job as public servants. They are out on the front line. The governor talked about earlier how few minutes in this extreme cold and the wind chill, how few minutes there are between frostbite, between getting out and the frostbite conditions. Now, what that means is, let's say we have these, as is being predicted, these strong winds, then we could have limbs that have fallen. And our folks in the Transportation Cabinet, Department of Highways, their job is to clear the roads of those fallen limbs, which means that they're out with chainsaws. So this is what I'm just illustrating this to show what we may be up against, but how committed these folks are to getting the work done. The governor's already said it. We've lost far too many Kentuckians to extreme weather events in the past year. We don't want to lose, as he said, we do not want to lose a single person to this winter storm. And that's why we urge everyone to stay off the roads unless it is absolutely essential. If you must be out on the roads, expect delays. Be prepared for delays. Crashes usually result in traffic lanes being blocked, and even emergency lanes can sometimes get blocked. When lanes are blocked and we have to summon tow trucks, that takes time. That's why it's so important to have, this is important. I said it yesterday, I'm going to say it again today. The governor punctuated it and emphasized it. This is why it's so important to have an emergency kit inside your vehicle when temperatures get dangerously low. Basic things like jumper cables, gloves, blankets, food and water for every passenger can make a big difference to keep you safe if you are temporarily stalled on the roads. So stay informed and monitor weather forecasts. Lots of driving information is on our snowky.ky.gov website right here. And you'll find links on how to follow social media accounts for your local highway district to stay in the know and informed. Travel condition information, you can go on goky.ky.gov. Governor, I think that's it. The point is we are prepared. I want to say this. The point is we are prepared, but it could be very challenging. We are as ready as we can be for this first storm of the season. Governor?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Let me make sure I don't have your stuff.
No, that's it. That's
All right, good.
All right. Thank you to Secretary Gray, everybody at the Transportation Cabinet, Colonel Slinker, everyone at Emergency Management, everybody who's out there trying to protect people. Thank you also to our meteorologists and everybody who works in the weather, both at the National Weather Service and in local media. Thank you for getting the word out and keep going. We're now going to move towards the more traditional Team Kentucky update. So today, I'm excited to recap the amazing year we've had on the economic development front. Our state is bouncing back from a pandemic and multiple natural disasters in a way that is setting the foundation for transformational change, future growth, and a brighter tomorrow than many of us thought was ever possible. This year, the Commonwealth saw nearly 250 new location and expansion announcements, totaling nearly $10.5 billion in private sector investment and 16,000 new full-time jobs. So not only as we wind up 2022, are we completing the best 2-year period in state history for economic development, but 2022 is now the second highest year in our history for private sector investment, trailing only 2021. And we're not just creating any jobs with these investments. We're creating quality jobs with better wages for our families. The average hourly wage for projects statewide in 2022 was $26.78 an hour before benefits, an 11.5% increase over last year. And last year had been our second highest average wage we've ever announced. So in 2022, second highest amount of private sector investment in our history, and the 16,000 new jobs they created are at the second highest wage we've ever announced, with 2021 being the third highest wage we've ever announced. Another bright spot in 2022 was how low our unemployment rate has been. For most of the year, we saw historically low unemployment, including a stretch from April to October that it was 3.9% or below, the longest point in our history that it's been that low. It set records just about every month. 22 has also been the most impressive year for growth of Kentucky's signature bourbon industry. 2022 included more than 30 announcements totaling $2.2 billion in new investments, more than 730 full-time jobs. That's $500 million more investment than the next best year. And we can't talk about our ongoing success without highlighting the electric vehicle battery sector that is, going so well here in Kentucky. In April of this year, I was joined by leaders of Envision AESC to announce the state's second largest economic development project in our history, a $2 billion investment, creating 2,000 full-time jobs, manufacturing electric vehicle batteries for the automotive sector. That's in Warren County, and we broke ground in August. And just last month, we broke ground on the Blue Oval SK Battery Park. Pretty incredible that what's going up right now will be the largest battery plant in the world, and we're about to start one of equal size right next to it. Ford and its partner SK On investing nearly $6 billion, 5,000 new jobs at the Glendale mega site. That is by far the largest investment in our history. These announcements solidify us as the undisputed electric vehicle battery production capital of the United States of America. I always believed it, but now I've heard Ford and SK On and just about everybody else in the industry say the same thing. EVs are transforming the entire automotive sector, and they are transforming our economy in incredible and positive ways. Remember, there is no mature supply chain for electric vehicle battery production in the United States of America, so there's a lot more coming. Automotive in 2022, $4.2 billion in new investment, 4,200 new jobs. Manufacturing, 9,000 new jobs, $8.2 billion, all in this last year. I want to thank the leaders of each and every one of these companies expanding or investing in us, having the confidence that we can get this done. Our national economy is transforming and changing in fundamental ways that are really exciting here in Kentucky. We've left behind now years ago ever being a flyover state ever again. Kentucky is the destination. I look forward to continuing this momentum in 2023. So while we're living in this historic moment, and it's exciting, breaking all these records, we understand that there are still people struggling out there. Temporary inflation has been hard. Coming out of the pandemic can be hard. There's still people that are hurting, and there's still people that are struggling. And if we can just get through this period of inflation, because it's temporary, and in fact, it appears that it is lessening, What's waiting on the other side is just incredible. A better job available for any Kentuckian that wants it than again, we've probably ever seen. So today, we're going to offer a little more help to those that need it. I'm excited to be here today with Louisville Mayor Greg Fisher, as well as Mayor-elect Craig Greenberg at Christmas time to announce some good news for our families in Louisville, also at Hanukkah time. Since day one, our Team Kentucky, has been committed to helping address the challenges our families worry about once they get their kids in bed, sit down at their kitchen table, and exhale. Those are things like having a good paying job, making sure they have access to affordable health care, that their kids are getting the best education, and that they have a safe and warm place to call home. Today, we're going to provide a little hope during this special time of year to those who are still in need by announcing that the state is reallocating $38.2 million in federal funds to help keep Jefferson County families safe and in their homes.
All right.
Early on in the pandemic, we worked together with the Healthy at Home Eviction Relief Fund. Now, and that program initially received $264 million, and it was for 118 counties. Lexington and Louisville received their own funds, but they did not receive nearly as much as we originally thought, nor nearly as much as they needed. So I'm proud as of today with this new investment that the state has now sent an additional $92.2 million to help Louisville families. Team Kentucky's now helped 50,800 households and issued more than 69,000 payments to help folks that are in need. So today we also get to celebrate the hard work being done by Mayor Fisher, his city government, and the Kentucky Housing Corporation. Together with Mayor-elect Greenberg, I know that they are committed to affordable housing and that these dollars would be used well. So congratulations, Mayor Fisher.
Thank you.
But I want to hold $38 million.
That's right. That is a nice Christmas present right there. So really appreciate the opportunity and really appreciate being here to today's Team Kentucky briefing. So Gov, you did a good job, man.
Thank you.
You came into office at a really tough time with the pandemic, and then of course the tornadoes, the flooding, and amidst all that, just record economic development announcements while taking care of our city, of our state's most vulnerable people have been impacted. So it's been an impressive run, probably most impressive in the whole nation. So thank you so much. So with this new allocation here today, the state has shared $92.2 million for Louisville's housing assistance programs. And these programs have been a really critical lifeline for so many of our residents, and we recognize that tremendous demand still remains for them. It was 2.5 years ago, and it's hard for all of us to believe, when we had our first diagnosed COVID case in Louisville. And no one knew at that time the toll that this dastardly virus would take on the country, our Commonwealth, and our city, and for how long it would be around. But we knew that we had to face these challenges together, even though we weren't quite sure what they were going to be. And one of those challenges quickly became clear, and that was keeping people housed. So we went to work. We went to work on the challenge of evictions in our community, convening housing advocates, nonprofits, and other partners to look at how we tackle this growing problem and make sure that residents stayed housed. And thanks to an existing collaboration, Louisville Metro and our partners were able to quickly mobilize in 2020 to get rental assistance to residents facing eviction because of the pandemic, while ensuring that we met the federal government's strict reporting requirements. This partnership developed a creative, multifaceted approach, which included a tenant-based program, court eviction diversion program, a community service provider program, and a landlord-based program. I want to recognize some of the great organizations in Louisville that really did tremendous work together. My team at Metro Government, the Area Community Ministries, Louisville Urban League, and Legal Aid Society all worked together just to get results for our people. And I want to especially recognize our dedicated and compassionate team at the city's Office for Resilience and Community Services and the Office of Housing and Community Development, who've been working nonstop to administer this assistance. Some of our operations didn't have the same workload that they normally had during the pandemic, so we moved them over to our Resilience and Community Services so we could get these dollars to our residents as quickly as possible. And the numbers are impressive. Since the onset of the pandemic, we've been able to help 51,100 residents avoid eviction and remain housed. the impact is tremendous. When you're kicked out of where you live, it just disrupts your whole life and your kids' life. We had to do everything we could to keep people housed. And as a testament to this work and accolades from the White House and the National Low Income Housing Coalition, Louisville was ranked #1 in the country for getting eviction prevention funds distributed. I'm very proud of the team for doing that. Some of this new allocation from the state will fund our ongoing eviction prevention and housing stability efforts, and we'll have more details on that in the future. The challenge is big, and I'm sure Mayor-elect Greenberg will also keep working on this area. It's very clear to him in his campaign about the need for more affordable housing. Louisville has a need for 30,000 more affordable housing units for people making $20,000 income and below. So if Louisville needs 30,000, Indianapolis needs 50,000, and Nashville needs 60,000. This is a national housing crisis, but we have to do what we can at the local level. So the bulk of this funding will go toward building affordable housing units. When we're looking at longer term solutions to our housing crisis, we know there's a vital need in our community to expand our affordable housing inventory. And more affordable housing obviously means people living beyond their means and fewer evictions, keeping kids in school. Now, last November, thank you, I was joined by Metro Council in signing an ordinance allocating $89 million in federal American Rescue Plan funding to address homelessness and affordable housing. And that included a $40 million investment in affordable housing units through the Louisville Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and brought our total funding for affordable housing to more than $116 million. The previous record in that area was just $7 million. So we've made a dent, but it's a big problem. This has been possible, this progress, because the hard work of the organizations that I just mentioned, but also because of significant funds from Governor Beshear, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and the federal government. I want to thank President Biden and his team for really stepping up in this time of the pandemic to help this country get through it and really focus on keeping people housed. So during the many ups and downs over these last 2 years, Governor Beshear's steady leadership has been a real source of comfort to countless Kentuckians. And a lot of it started with these press briefings. So on behalf of the residents of Louisville, I want to especially thank you, Gov, for advocating for funding to help our most vulnerable residents stay housed. You got a big heart. We need that in this holiday time and all throughout the year. So thank you so much for all your help and your partnership.
Mayor-elect? Sure. Take that home with you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Governor Beshear, for your leadership of the Commonwealth through such challenging times, and thank you for this amazing announcement today. Mayor Fisher, thank you for your leadership of our city, and I look forward to continuing the positive momentum that we're on in Louisville. This announcement could not come at a more important time and a better time. It's the holiday season, but also when, Governor, you talk about the extreme weather that we're dealing with, and Mayor Fisher was with you this morning dealing with these issues in Louisville. The challenge of people who are currently living under challenged circumstances, who are not earning a lot of money, have the risk of being forced out of their homes. And so this money here today will allow us in Louisville to ensure that more people are able to stay in their homes and do not become homeless. This is something that we will focus on in partnership with the state and, as Mayor Fisher said, with nonprofit organizations around Louisville. Also, I look forward, Governor Beshear, to working with you on the broader picture of affordable housing. As Mayor Fisher said, thanks to the support of the federal and state government, Louisville, under your leadership, has made historic investments in affordable housing, over $100 million. That is just the beginning as we seek to address this crisis to ensure that everyone in Louisville, that everyone in Kentucky has a safe, secure, and affordable house. We will continue to work very hard towards that goal. So thank you, Governor, for your leadership. We look forward to putting this money to a good, solid investment to ensure more people can remain in their homes. Thanks a lot.
All right. As a recap, on Monday, I was in Lexington. We reallocated money towards Lexington as well. If you are in Lexington and in need of help, go to COVID-19rentershelp.org. If you live outside of Lexington and Jefferson County, which we've talked about, there is still a lot of money in this fund that is there to help in every other county. That's what's administered directly by the state. That's at teamkyhherf.ky.gov. That helps renters. But remember, we also have a homeowners assistance fund at kyhaf.ky.gov. That can help with delinquent mortgage payments, property taxes, homeowners and or flood insurance, homeowners association fees, and utility costs. So with brutally low temperatures on the way, please look at these programs. Also, look up your LIHEAP program. That's the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. Applications for that will open on January 9th. They'll remain open until March 31st or until funds run out, and they always run out, even though there's more this year. Applications are first come, first served for people earning up to 130% of federal poverty guidelines. To find out if your utility company is taking part, contact your local community action office and call 800-456-3452. All right, earlier this week on Tuesday, Brittany and I were also in Eastern Kentucky along with Will and Lila, where we announced the first step in a plan that will pave the way for homes to be rebuilt while also setting the stage for future growth, both in homes but also in jobs. This long-term recovery plan lifts up our neighbors that were harmed in historic flooding while also securing more flat, usable land, which has been a real challenge in Eastern Kentucky. The vision starts with new homes, a community center, and we hope even a school. It'll be upgraded with infrastructure done right that will help the entire region and relieve a lot of stress that's on some of the neighboring water systems. And it provides opportunity for future economic development growth. Let's show a prototype of the initial build. This is a master concept where in blue you could see a school, a community center. I'm sorry, the blue would be the elementary school. The brown would be senior apartments, bigger tracks, smaller tracks, opportunity to envision entire new neighborhoods and address some of the challenges. We can think about having a medical clinic if a neighborhood is large enough as well. The first site that we announced is in the community of Talcum in Knott County, just near the Perry County line. If you can show that map. This is the first of several locations being considered. We're currently evaluating multiple sites in Perry, Knott, Letcher, and Breathitt counties. They combine for 75% of the homes that are lost. And as you can see, this site is real close to Perry County, but is in proximity with a number of the hardest hit areas. This space offers hope to our families, and it was made possible by generosity. It was made possible by love. And that love and kindness was shown by Sean and Tammy Adams, the two who are conveying at no charge an initial 75 acres. And the state will have an option to secure up to 225 additional acres. To ensure this is a long-term solution, we're doing all the testing right now. Vector Engineering is completing surveys. We have a high degree of confidence that we're going to be able to build on this site and to do so safely. Funding sources include the Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund, the Eastern Kentucky Safe Funds, and federal ARPA funds. We're looking forward to working with FEMA on their temporary direct housing program, Habitat, and so many others that were there. We also announced 2 programs on repairing homes that are outside of the flood zone, so people don't need to relocate, that they are safe, but they need a little help getting back into their homes. One was a $600,000 donation from the Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund to build 8 new homes with the Housing Development Alliance and Homes, Inc. They found some other pieces of property not as big that they'll be building those new homes on. And then with the Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky, we're dedicating $200,000 from the fund. That is met by matching amounts. It reaches $800,000 and is going to repair 80 homes for families that need it. Eastern Kentucky, we love you. We're going to get through this cold temperature. We're going to build. We're going to build back. We're going to build better. We're going to provide more opportunities, and we're going to try to do this in a smart way. that provides future growth in areas of Eastern Kentucky that haven't seen enough new jobs. We're going to end up opening up so much potential. Every single one of you that was harmed in this flooding deserve, not just to get back where you were, but to have even more opportunities. So as we give an overall flood update, we start with the sad news that we are adding another death to the death toll of July's devastating flooding. The total of those lost is now 44 across 6 counties. The Kentuckian lost was May Ambergy, 97 of Letcher County. Many of you may remember her for this picture that ended up being used through media and social media. It went viral of her sitting in her home surrounded by floodwaters. Her death was related to this disaster, and our thoughts and prayers are with her loved ones. To date, the Commonwealth Sheltering Program has 266 households in Eastern Kentucky in travel trailers, and is provided through the program. 312 trailers are on site in 10 commercial locations, and now 3 trailers are on private sites. The private sites are very complicated. We've got to come in and ensure that all of the utility work is done. And I want to make sure people understand that these aren't campers, right? You can't just drive them up and plop them down and anywhere and they're ready to go. No, these are meant to be a home for a period of time. And so we hook them to electric and water. They have to be in a site where all that can be done safely. And that takes work, because we are not going to take any of these individuals and put them in a dangerous situation. 55 people are still sheltering at state parks. That continues to go down from our height of 360. FEMA is still on the ground. Last week, they approved another $1 million in direct assistance from those that are appealing. So continue to appeal. Money is still being approved. It's taken too long, and the process is too complicated, but keep fighting for it. Money is still going out the door. If you need help, please call FEMA directly or visit a multi-agency resource center. If we can put that up while I continue. As of yesterday, 487,372 tons of debris have been removed from roadsides and waterways. The large-scale roadside debris removal is done, but you can still contact your fiscal court for more localized needs. Waterway debris removal is nearly complete. We've cleaned 492 miles of creeks and streams. I don't think that's ever been done before. We've now raised $13 million from over 41,000 donors to the Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund. Over $4.3 million has been dispersed thus far. Those 2 new commitments we made to rebuilding, and the bulk of those funds is going to help build homes on this new Knott County site and others. A couple quick notes on public health. Flu is everywhere in Kentucky right now. It is at increased levels. This is one of the worst flu seasons we've seen in a decade, at least. We've confirmed 6 Kentucky children have died from influenza this season, and we tragically have a report of a 7th that we are working to confirm. 6 is already the most that we've lost in recent memory in any flu season. None of the 6 children that we have lost this year were vaccinated and had their flu shot. Several were co-infected with other respiratory pathogens, including group A strep bacteria. Remember, the flu vaccine is recommended for everyone 6 months of age and older. Unfortunately, CDC data shows fewer than 40% of Kentucky's children have gotten the flu shot. Flu this year is rough. It can really hurt you. And the flu shot got it right this year for the primary strain that's out there. It might not prevent you from getting it, but it prevents you from getting really sick. And as you can see, it protects your children from the worst outcome if you'll get it. So please get your kids back. Get your kids the flu shot, regardless of anything else. If regardless of what you feel about the COVID vaccine, which I believe is safe and effective, and you should get that too. Please get your kid a flu shot. And if you got your kid a flu shot 3 years ago, but it's everything since then that is stopping you, please, it's just as safe as it was the last time, and the flu appears to be more dangerous this time around. Also, wash your hands frequently, and this is really important. Stay home if you're sick. Keep your kids home if they're sick. I know that can be a big challenge, but we've had schools that have had to shut down for multiple days because of how many kids get the flu, and that starts with someone coming to school with the flu, and the same happens at workplaces all across the United States. In slightly better news, RSV activity is high, but it appears to be declining. But we're still getting outbreaks, especially in Kentucky daycares and preschools, so be careful. COVID-19 does appear to be increasing following the Thanksgiving holiday, so it's important that if you haven't gotten your booster, that you do that. Current data suggests less than 11% of Kentuckians that are eligible have gotten the most recent booster, and the booster works. So please get that. Let's go through the slides real quick. I think we're seeing a Thanksgiving bump. This does no longer reflects the actual amount of COVID out there, because this is just PCR tests, and we have so many at home. So we've gone up, but again, nowhere near the highs we used to see. And the one answer for that is vaccinations. They do make a huge difference. Let's go to the next one. This is where you really see the post-Thanksgiving increase. I would not call it a surge. It is just an increase. And that's 5 straight weeks of increasing positivity. But in good news, no, go to the next one. While hospitalizations have gone up a little bit, they are plateauing. When you go to the next one in the ICUs, didn't really go up at all, and ventilators still very, very low. We've gotten a lot better at treating COVID. Certainly the medication that you can get early makes a big difference. So if you get COVID, make sure you contact your medical provider. There are more and better ways to treat it than ever before. All right, very quickly, those of you who tune in to these updates know that we are absolutely committed to providing broadband internet service, high-speed, high-quality service to every single Kentucky home and business. That's our goal. That's the basis for our Better Internet initiative, and it's why we're making historic investments. Already made the largest public sector investment in broadband in our state's history, and we have a bigger investment coming. But we also need help from each and every one of our fellow Kentuckians. We need them to review the FCC's new National Broadband Map and provide feedback that will help improve its accuracy. The process is easy. Simply go to broadbandmap.fcc.gov and enter your street address. Your responses will be automatically submitted to the FTC. Challenges to the map must be filed by January 13th, 2023. So please do it sooner rather than later. This is how the federal government is going to say this area of Kentucky has broadband and this one doesn't. Or this is a state that has more or less than this other state. And a lot of how they allocate money is going to be based on these maps. So especially if you lack high-speed broadband or reliable broadband, we need you to get on and make sure that they know it so that the map accurately reflects that. And finally, we've got 3 really special Team Kentucky All-Stars. First, Santa Claus. During this busiest time of the year, Santa is preparing for all of our world's children, but he took some time to travel to Eastern Kentucky a little bit early to deliver toys to children impacted by the summer's devastating flood. Over the past year, Santa Claus and First Lady Brittany Beshear have brought more than 100,000 gifts, as well as hundreds of meals to tornado and to flood survivors. There were toys for the kids, more than $200,000 in gift cards that have made this season a little bit brighter to those that have lost so much. We've hosted 13 Christmas events in 12 different communities, serving thousands of Kentuckians, thanks to the generosity of so many out there, thanks to the elves from the North Pole, and thanks to people from 37 different states that wanted to help. Let me tell you about just one person who helped make this toy drive possible. There's a 9-year-old boy from Louisville who just celebrated his birthday right before the tornadoes. He'd gotten all kinds of toys from his friends and his family. But he told his mom he wanted to donate them all to our First Lady's toy drive to help those kids that had lost everything. Talk about the true spirit of Christmas coming from a 9-year-old. That's a pretty special example for all of us. That's why I want to celebrate 2 other All-Stars who've shown incredible generosity. This is what we talked about earlier. I want to recognize Sean and Tammy Adams for conveying at no cost 75 acres in Knott County. That's going to help create a permanent housing solution for those that lost everything in the floods. This is a true Christmas present, one of hope, one of life and rebuilding. It's truly living out the faith of the season, and I cannot thank them enough. To everybody, Merry Christmas. All right, we'll open it up to questions. I know we've gone a little long. We'll start with Anna Latek.
Thank you, Governor. Has there been any talk of what the protocol is going to be? If you talk to the airport authorities in Louisville, Lexington, Northern Kentucky about contingency plans with the weather occurring, have there been any updates as far as that?
I don't have an update from airports while we're here today, but we'll reach out and get that information for you. They've also got a pretty robust communications group themselves. Listen, travel's being impacted in lots of places, and especially during this 3-day period. You ought to really be checking on any flight that you have, because there is a high chance for disruption in travel. Now, my brother was coming in. He's not now. So I'd make sure you check on that. Carolina?
Governor, despite the warnings, are there concerns that Christmas and the holidays will bring people out and put them on the roads? And what do you tell people that may be thinking of taking that potential risk?
So I want everybody to have such a Merry Christmas, but I want them to do it safely. So make sure that you are at your destination by middle of the day today. You know, Christmas is about family. This will just be a whole lot of family, you know, on today, tomorrow, the next day, and until it is safe. Certainly, though, give us this period of time. If you are just committed to getting out, no matter how bad the roads are, first of all, you're putting yourself in danger, and please don't do it with your kids, because you're putting them in danger too. You're also putting in danger our transportation crews that are trying to clear things up. And if you get in an accident when you could have stayed home, you may hinder emergency personnel and emergency response from getting to somebody who needs it. But listen, if you're going to travel, make sure you wait. You either get there today by midday, or wait until the worst is over on Friday before going. Make sure you get up in the morning tomorrow and look at all the road conditions. And we don't say treacherous unless it's treacherous. So, you know, everybody, when Christmas season is about to me, it's about the birth of Jesus and everything that meant. It's about life. And so please be careful with your own. Nobody wants to see anyone lost in this. So please be careful. Tom Latek on virtually.
Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon to you. Merry Christmas to you and your family, first of all. And also, I've got a tip to pass along for people tonight. When they get home from wherever they're doing work or what have you, before the flash freeze hits, take your ice scraper and snow brush out of your car if you park outside, and bring it into the house, because if you have to try to get through ice in the morning, you won't be able to, because it's stuck inside there. So anyway, my question was, given the possibility of local power outages, the information that you're getting from local governments, or the information local governments that are trying to put out on the warming centers and things like that, if power goes out, their internet may go down and not be able to do it. Will the state have a website dedicated that can pick up the slack in those areas where there are power outages?
We will ensure through emergency management, which we'll be communicating on a regular basis now, that the emergency operations center is activated through the end of it, and we'll be able to put out that information. But remember to charge your phone, go ahead and make sure that you have a full charge so that you can get information. And you should already look up and find the location of the warming center in your county. And thanks to Tom Latek, also bring the scraper in from your car tonight. Don't leave it out there. Wisdom from Tom. All right, our last question. Olivia Krauth from the Courier-Journal.
Thanks, Governor. I just had a quick question regarding the new Olive Branch community. Is there any timeline or idea as to when this could be open for survivors to move in?
Olivia, we'll get you a better timeline. What we're doing two things right now. We're doing the testing, which we have to do to make sure it's safe. We have a high degree of certainty it's going to be safe. The second piece, though, is the infrastructure. This is a site that's going to take more than other areas, but it's going to provide more land to help more people, and this couple was willing to convey it. So the time that people can move in is less about how long it takes to build a home. Habitat and others do that so well, and more about how long it takes us to get the water and the road and the electricity that are there. And admittedly, I don't have that timetable yet. I know we're going to be putting out the necessary RFPs and others to do that work. I hope this gives people hope. It should. There's going to be a new home, but we always said this was a 2 to 3 year rebuilding process, and it's going to be. I'm hoping that the tornadoes end up being 1.5 years, but maybe they're 2 years. But further complications in Eastern Kentucky with virtually nobody being insured creates a big challenge. In Western Kentucky, we had $500 million come in from insurance proceeds that gave people the dollars to rebuild. So we've had to take this innovative step. I'm not sure that we as state government have ever done something exactly like this, but we've never faced something like this flood. So as we get those schedules, we'll make sure that we are transparent with them. Jim, did I miss anything? Nope. Jim Gray, who's done development for his entire career, says we got it right. All right. Any other questions? Please feel free to follow up with our communications office. Everybody, Merry Christmas. Please be safe. Check on each other. Love one another. That's what this season is about. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.